Alrighty guys, welcome back to another tutorial video, one in fact that I've done before. But my past self happened to screw it up like a bumbling idiot, and so I am here to redo it all and correct my previous self's actions. Alright, never be afraid to admit your mistakes. So, for those of you that already watched my previous video, I'm going to save you guys some time and quickly explain what I did wrong. That way, you guys can leave directly after, okay? So, let's go ahead, hit territory battle here. Now, my previous self made a mistake in incorrectly thinking that we could access this middle city willy-nilly at any point, and that is wrong, okay? That is completely wrong, all right? You must first gain access to the top or the bottom in order to take over the middle city. That's it. That's it. All right? Simple as that. If you gain access to the top or bottom, then you can duke it out in the middle city. That's it. So if you want to leave now, go right ahead. It was as simple as that. And for those of you that did not watch the previous video, the rest of the video remaining is for you guys. Now, obviously there is an AM and a PM territory battle, by the way. So the AM crew absolutely did amazing. They took over the top and the middle. So grats to them. All right. Awesome job. And so that means once we start the territory battle at night, we automatically do have access to the middle. And my past self would have been partially right, because yes, we could go ahead and jump right in here. And that's probably why I got confused because of that, okay? I must have just been doing the video or had done a previous territory battle where we already had access to the middle, and that confused me, thinking that we could just jump in there whenever we wanted. Now, let's get into the actual tutorial phase here, okay? So, what is territory battle? Basically, it's the Falcons versus the Lionheart faction duking it out for these middle territories, okay? And if you don't know what faction you're in, you can hit this little button at the bottom. It'll tell you what faction you're in, all right? Now, the way it works, if we tap on one of the territories here, there's something called faction points, or sorry, occupation points, all right? And each one of these bosses grants occupation points to the faction that deals the most damage to it, all right? So if you go inside these territories, there's always going to be 10 bosses that spawn, and obviously you're going to want to go for the bosses that give you the most points first. And the first faction to hit 80 points in that territory from killing these bosses automatically gains access to that territory. Now, if you add up all these occupation points, you're going to get a total of 150. Now, that number is kind of important because, as I said, the first faction to hit 80 points automatically wins. Why is that? Because if you subtract 80 from 150, that gives you 70, right? So if one faction hits 80, the only amount of points that the opposite faction could ever hope to achieve is a total of 70, right? So it would be impossible for them to ever hit 80 or go over 80. So that's why you automatically take the territory if you hit 80. Now, moving on from that, there is also something called carnage points, right? Every time you kill one of these bosses, you gain occupation points, but you also incur a carnage consumption, right? And so, if we look over here at carnage, the important thing to take note of here is that you cannot deal damage to monsters without enough carnage. And basically, this is to kind of prevent whales from taking over everything. All right. Imagine, you got a player that spent like, I don't know, 15 or like $50,000 in the game, just something outrageous. Okay. Somebody on that caliber might be able to just kill these bosses in mere seconds, okay? And if you got somebody that powerful, like a one-man army going around just destroying bosses left and right, then yeah, that they if they could do that without limitation, then what's the point of even entering the territory battle, right? At that point, they're just going to go ahead and take everything. All right, there would be no point in even having a territory battle, really. So this is just to limit how many bosses the whales in particular can take on. Right, like somebody like me, I never chew through all my cartage points. This is not possible. All right, the average Joe is not going to be able to do it. This is just to limit how much power the whales have. And so I like that system. It's nice. It's nice to have. Now, the last thing here is, as you can see, personal points. And again, by the way, you can see that the best boss here, the Siren Queen, has higher numbers on everything. Okay. She gives you the most occupation points, but she also gives you the most carnage and the most personal points. Now, personal points is well, let's there it is. Personal points, you can see here, gets you better personal rewards. These are personal rewards right in here for hitting higher ranks. And then these other rewards here are just for the castle, as you can see here in particular. All right, these are the rewards you get for your faction owning this particular territory, and these are just some of the drops you can get for this particular territory. And then if we come to this middle city, you can see that the rewards are better, right? And by the way, you do not automatically get this awesome mount just for owning this territory, all right? I think they just had this here so you could see the mount. This is what you actually get, just this chest here with a shard, all right? So for taking over this citadel, you can get a shard for this awesome mount. You take over this territory enough times, and yes, you will get this awesome mount at some point. Now, let's see. The other thing to take note of here is well, let's go inside. Let's go inside, actually. Talk a little bit about that. The other thing to take note of is that you are going to have shot colors before the territory war begins. And usually these shot colors are going to tell you to go to the top or the bottom or even the mid if you happen to have access to the mid already, right? And you can enter this territory battle before the battle actually starts. And this is important because your shot color should be telling you where to go before it starts so that you can get ready. So if, for instance, the strategy was to go top, then before the battle starts, we're going to head immediately to the Siren Queen, right? We're going to jump right over to her. That way we can start attacking as soon as possible and hopefully do enough damage to have our faction take that boss over. So if we look here, we could see that in the previous battle, we did take this boss. All right, you can see Falcon right there, the Falcon badge. The enemies happen to only take one boss during this last battle, and that math adds up, right? Because if you look here, we achieved 140 points, and once you hit this middle line, by the way, that's the 80-point mark. Okay, so yeah, like I said, the math adds up, right? So they only got one boss, and we've seen that these blue bosses were only worth 10 points, right? These purple bosses were worth 20, and this red boss was worth 30. So they only gained 10 points out of a possible 150 points. And so that adds up. It makes sense. Now, let's talk more strategy here. Okay, so let's say we killed this Siren Queen, and as soon as you get done killing a boss, you immediately want to start darting towards the next most valuable boss. Okay, next most valuable boss. So we would head over to the Naga of Death, but here's something else to keep in mind, right? So if, let's say, this Naga of Oblivion was already almost dead and was at like 1% life left, would we finish killing this boss and then head to Naga of Oblivion when she was at 1, 2, or maybe even 3%? No. All right. There's no point, because by the time we make it to Naga of Oblivion, that boss is already going to be dead. All right, there is no point going to that boss, so we're just going to skip that one and head over to Naga of Ember instead. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind and that you have to pay attention to as you're doing territory battle. Now, let's do another instance, okay? And this is something that can also happen, all right? Let's say we were at 70 points and our enemy was also at 70 points, okay? What would that mean? Well, that would obviously mean that it's close to somebody taking the cake. All right, either you or well, God, let's just put it like this: the next boss makes all the difference between who's going to take over the territory. Okay, so if it's a very close match, all right, and this actually happened to me in the last territory battle. Okay, there was only 2 bosses left. Okay, 2 of these blue bosses, and it was a close battle. One of the bosses was us doing the most damage, and one of the bosses was the Lionheart doing the most damage. Okay, and I had to make a split-second decision on what I was going to do. Okay, so I noticed that our boss was dying faster. Okay, so I had to make a split-second decision, and I chose to go for our boss so that we could kill it faster and gain that territory. All right, and this was for the middle territory, by the way, the one that really makes a big difference. You want to get that middle territory. So yeah, I had to make a quick call there, and I noticed that our boss was dying just slightly faster, but it was close. And by me going over there, I was able to kill our boss faster and take us to that 80 point. And they were only able to get 70 points. And so that made all the difference right there for taking that middle territory. Now, it could have been different, though. It could have been different because I also could have went for their boss that they were trying to take over and either slow them down or change it over to our boss. Okay, I could have made a possible difference enough in damage to change it to Falcon. So there's a couple. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration at the last minute a lot of times. So it could have worked out also by me going to their boss, right? I could have made that slight difference in damage. I could have killed a bunch of their guys and just slowed them down so that we could have for sure taken that last boss. So it's just a couple things that you have to be able to think of on the spot, last minute. And I just wanted to go over all the possible scenarios for you guys so that you can take that into consideration in your next territory battle. And I guess the last thing to talk about is just overall map strategy here. So what you want to take into consideration is your shot caller before the match starts, right? So let's say this was the AM territory battle. It's a blank slate, a brand new map, all right? What's going to end up happening is your shot caller is most likely going to tell you to go all in on the top or the bottom. Because remember, you don't have access to the middle yet because none of these territories have been taken over. So you can really only go top or bottom, and then once you hit those 80 faction points from killing the bosses, can you then go to the middle and fight over that, right? So there's a couple strategies that you can do. You can either go all in on the top or the bottom and maybe send a few of your stronger warriors down to the bottom in hopes that you can take both the top and the bottom, right? That's strategy number one. And that's to pretty much guarantee that that you gain the top territory, all right? Because you're going mostly all in on the top. So you can go either completely all in, all right? That's strategy number one. Strategy number two, I would say, is going all in on one of them and sending a couple of your whales down to the bottom in hopes that maybe they're going to be enough to take the bottom. That way you can get both the top and the bottom and completely stop their access to the middle territory. Because remember, you have to have at least the top or the bottom, at least one of these, in order to gain access to the middle. So it's completely possible to close out your enemies from even having access to the middle territory. So that's something that you have to keep in mind for strategy. All right. So first strategy is going all in. Second strategy is going mostly all in and sending a few whales to the opposite side. And then the third strategy is to just do an even split. Okay. And of course, an even split can be a dangerous strategy because you could potentially lose both your territories if you do that, because you're really weakening yourself on both fronts. You're not going maximum power on either or. So that's a very dangerous strategy, and it's not used a lot of times. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, of course, by the way, this is very important. I'm just going to hop in here to show you guys this real quick. So, after, so we jump to the top here. After we take the top, all right, you want to hit this territory battle icon here and move to the next territory, all right? A lot of people don't even realize that, and they will think that the territory war is pretty much over after they cleared one territory of bosses. Okay, that's not the case. All right, you have to keep the ball rolling, all right? After you clear out one territory, hit that icon, and if you happen to gain access to this middle territory, hurry up and jump to that one, okay? Because the middle territory is one that you definitely want to take because it has the better rewards, all right? The rewards are not as good for taking over these city territories, we want the good stuff. All right. So as soon as you take over this one, if you win it, hurry up and jump to this. If you lose it, hurry up and jump to the other territory at the bottom here. Okay. And another thing to keep in mind is that, yes, you can actually check the territory battle while it's going on at any point. So if you see you are absolutely getting destroyed in this top territory, for instance, you might want to just call it and jump out early, and go help out your guys at the other territory and make sure that you seal the deal on this. Okay, so if it's an absolute lost cause in this one, then yeah, just go ahead and jump here, because you're not doing us any favors getting your butt whooped in this other territory. All right, unless you're really strong and you can slow down the enemies in this territory and cause them to kind of lag a little bit at reaching the middle territory, and this will give us an advantage in this middle one, because it's going to take them longer if you're destroying them to get this territory to hit the 80 points. So that is a possible strategy, but again, that's another rare one. Oftentimes you're not going to be strong enough to really make a difference, and you might just be better served if the enemies are swarming this one, to just go help out your own squad at the one you're doing much better in. Oh, I almost forgot another important thing. Okay, I don't even think I discussed this yet. These are cities over here. Okay, these are main bases, and these can never be taken. Okay, you can never take over a main base. All right, so this city, for Falcon, this is always going to be ours. All right, the enemies are never going to be able to take it. Same with Lionheart. All right, this is always permanently their base. All right, we are never going to be able to access this base. Right, if I hit confirm to go in there, it's not possible. Okay, so with that being said, that plays into strategy as well. Don't ever be the idiot that goes to one of these cities. Now, I'm not completely sure if I had mentioned this yet, so I'm just saying it now. All right, don't ever start in this, because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, if the enemies are never able to come in here, then these bosses are always going to be ours. Okay, we can come back and do these bosses literally anytime we want. That's perfectly fine. And we can see how many players are in these bases, by the way, because it says this faction's players right here. So we can see if players are being bumbling idiots and going into our base when it's not time yet. All right, you guys need to be out in the battlefield doing battle, helping out your faction. Okay, this is where all the action happens, in the middle here. And you can also see how many remaining bosses are in each territory as well. And so that plays into what I said before. After you kill all the bosses, make sure you hit that little territory battle button and scope out the battlefield, see where the bosses are still available at, and make sure that you're jumping in and killing all the bosses, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, is that all the bosses are getting wiped out. Now, let's talk strategy for the PM, okay? This is where things get a little bit more complicated, right? Now, for instance, here, my faction took over the top and the middle. So, obviously, we want to retain the middle, okay? So, we want to send all our strongest guys to the middle to make sure that no matter what, we keep that. All right, and over here we do have the faction that originally gave us access to the middle. Now, of course, we would like to keep that, okay, But in order to do that, we would have to send all our head honchos to this one first, make sure that we absolutely claim this, and then maybe we can send a few troops over to the top or over to the bottom. Really, we're just going to have to decide which one we want to keep. Strategies at night are very complicated, but because as you can see here, the enemies also have access to the middle, right? So it would be stupid of them not to try and take over the middle. Like I said, the middle has the best rewards. So we know for a fact that they are going to send troops and we're going to send troops, okay? And that's what you have to play off of. You have to play off what you know already. And we know that we want the middle. We know that they want the middle. So it's going to be a big battle over the middle tonight. I can guarantee that much. And then it's just really up to your shot color, whether you want to try and also go for the top or whether you want to try and also go for the bottom. Again, that's just a 50-50 thing. You never know what the enemies has planned, so there's really no other strategy beyond that. Okay, the night strategy is pretty simple because there is really, at the end of the day, only one for sure strategy, and that's to go for the middle. All right, now these cards could be different though, right? The enemies could have completely destroyed us, and it's entirely possible that they could have taken over both the top and the bottom. So what will we do in that case? Well, again, it would just be if it were me, I would probably just go all in on the top and try to just take that over, right? Or go all in on the bottom, because at the end of the day, we don't want to just have our base, right? We at least want a little piece of the pie. So why not just go and make sure we at least get one of these? That would be my strategy. But again, it would pretty much be similar strategy to the AM, if that was the case where we completely got destroyed. It would pretty much just be the AM strategies, where we can either go full in on one, full in plus a little bit on the other, or just an even split. I mean, the AM strategies would apply, but it's situations like this where it's even all around where things kind of get a little bit funky, because like I said, I mean, it's just we're both going to go for the middle, and it's whatever on the other two. It's all up to your shot caller. But that's it for strategy, guys. I think I went over every single possible detail that we could cover here, and I hope that this helps you guys, helps all of you out. And well, that's it. There's absolutely nothing else to talk about. I guess there was one other scenario, and that would be if we took over both the top and the bottom and the middle. So let's just say it was an absolute wash. We took over everything. How would it play out in that case? What would I want to do? Boy, that would... Again, oh man, I guess that because if we take over the top and the bottom, right, then they're not going to have access to the middle. So there's no sense sending troops to the middle. It would be like a main base situation, right? Why would we ever send troops to the main base if we know that they're not going to be able to attack that, right? But at the same time, they could gain access to the middle, right? Because although we have the top and the bottom, once the battle starts, they could easily take the top and then move to our middle city and start killing our bosses. So I guess really the strategy would be to make sure that we still gain our 80 points here, right? And then branch out and start taking over these territories as well. Yeah, I guess that would be the play, because we don't want to be stupid and not send anybody here and split up our forces on the top and the bottom, and then end up losing one of these, and then they come and steal our bosses in the middle. And because we were idiots and didn't kill any of the bosses in the middle, we then lose the territory. So yes, you got to play this like a game of chess and just always be smart about everything you do, because there's always going to be consequences to your any action that you make in here as well. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was kind of fun talking about all the different strategies and stuff. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.